master of Smile Empty Soul, Sean, when he came to town this past week on the Rhythm of the War Drum tour, and they hit the vault in New Bedford, Massachusetts. So for anyone that doesn't know, Sean and Smile Empty Soul, well, they started out in 98. He formed it. He is the founder. He is the vocalist, the guitarist. He does a lot of other things too. But we got to sit down with him and talk about, they are putting out a new single coming out in June called Savior. And I got to go back to the beginnings with him and ask him a few little casual, fun questions about how emotionally and physically he felt starting a band and being on the radio and all that good stuff. We also go into, he is an artist also making paintings, sketches, drawings. He's used some for his album covers and he sells them online. So we got to chat with him about that. I asked him about his writing process, and last but not least, he does have a side project called World Fire Brigade, and that has some new news in it too. So sit back, get a drink, and welcome back. This is the Rambles of a Broken Savage East Coast Romper edition. Hey guys, it's Stephanie, and I am here with Sean from Smile Empty Soul. Hi, Sean.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
How has this tour been?
It's been a great tour, other than the weather thus far.
Yes, we talked about that.
Yeah, we've had some great shows, and it's been many years since we've been up in New England and the Northeast in general. So it's nice to be back up here, but we've dodged a couple tornadoes and had rain every day, and so we're just hoping that our luck with the weather turns at some point.
Now, after you play up in this area, are you headed like down south, or where are you going after this, or is this just like a mini tour?
No, this is a good tour. Like we're about halfway through right now.
Okay.
We started down in Tennessee and did some Virginia and Pennsylvania and worked our way up here. I think after this we do like Connecticut, Buffalo, Syracuse. We do like Baltimore, Elkton, kind of just bouncing around that area in general. And then I think we do some more Pennsylvania and end up in Ohio for like 5 days, and then the tour's over in early June.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, first, before we get into everything, the East Coast Romper has been around forever, and I think when you guys first came out, I don't think we've ever chatted. So I just want to say thank you for making music.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
Everything you put out is like quality shit, and it impresses me every single time I hear something new. So
awesome.
Thank you. But that first album, iconic throughout.
Oh, thank you. Thank
you. Thank
you. I'm glad to hear you enjoy the tunes. You know, we've definitely been doing it a long time, and
you have.
It's been quite a journey, quite a ride, and good and bad, and
in between,
all the in betweens mixed in. But it's been fun, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you first started, I read, because I did a little research on you, and it could be wrong because of course it's the internet. But your dad grew up being a musician, also, correct?
Yeah, my dad and my mom.
Okay.
They were actually in a high school band with each other. She was the singer, he was the guitar player. And so music has just kind of always been a part of my life. You know?
Mm-hmm. Now, was it something that you knew at a young age you wanted to do, or did you like stray from it and then come back to it, or was it always there?
Once I started on piano when I was 9. And then when I was 10, I picked up the guitar. And once I picked up the guitar at 10, it was just like an instant click that occurred. And at that point, all my other things that I was into kind of got pushed to the background, and guitar became my number one. And I knew from that moment that's what I wanted to do. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So that young, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty it was pretty clear to me, you know, that I didn't enjoy anything else as much as this. So it became my passion instantly.
Now, were your parents your biggest inspirations, or did you find it like, did they do like more like what you do, or was it a different like vibe of music that they were doing back in the day?
I mean, they were definitely doing like the 80s, like new wave kind of
okay,
kind of
all right.
stuff, you know? I mean, I was born in 82, and they were, you know, I guess they probably started jamming together in the late 70s, but, you know, they were definitely 80s scene kind of
All right, I like
kids.
I grew up in the 80s, so I like that whole music. So
yeah. I was never the biggest fan of that. I kind of got into the 90s grunge scene. It was probably the music scene that like pulled me in the strongest first and the strongest. So all the band, you know, the Nirvanas and Alice in Chains and Soundgardens of the world, Stone Temple Pilots.
okay.
I was just like, this is
it.
This is the end all be all, you know. And so that was really where I pulled most of my inspiration from.
Okay. Now, picking up the guitar and playing guitar, when did you get into like actual songwriting? Was it a young age too, or?
Yeah, pretty much right away.
Really?
Because, you know, it's hard to not notice that, you know, it's just a series of chords being thrown together. So why not try your own combinations and then start coming up with vocal melodies and then maybe play with lyrics? It just kind of all made sense.
Now, at 9 and 10, lyrically, what were you writing about? Do you remember?
No. I mean, first of all, at 9 and 10, you know, nothing that you write is really good. It's just all those like bad attempts that you have to get out of your system on the way to doing something good. You know? So, you know, all the music I was making was awful, but you have to write like, you know, hundreds of bad songs before you can write the first good song.
One.
So I'm glad that I started young and got to just, you know, kick around a bunch of awful songs for many years and kind of hone my craft.
See, back then, don't you wish you had social media so you could like put it online, and then years from now you could look back and go, oh my God, this was awful.
Well, this was definitely pre-social media, but, you know, we used to make like demo CDs and demo cassette tapes.
Okay.
And
Do you still have them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, and we made them and we would actually give them away as promotional tools, you know. And so those things still kick around and people do upload them on the internet. So
all right.
I'm definitely, you know, followed by the curse of a couple of those awful tunes still to this day.
Okay. All right. So, and you had your first band at 11?
Yep.
Oh, all right. See, the internet is not wrong sometimes.
It's true.
Yeah, okay.
It has a decent track record.
It does.
You know?
All right.
I started jamming with this kid that lived up the street from me, and then one of his friends from his high school when I was 11. And I mean, we were awful, you know, but it was the first
have to start somewhere.
Structured kind of jam sessions that I joined in on, and it was a blast, you know.
All right. So, fast forward, Smile Empty Soul comes into play. This is your baby.
Yeah.
Always will be. When did that all come into, because I'm sure you just didn't write your first record and it was stardom. Yeah, no.
That rarely happens. You know?
Right. So,
yeah, I mean, I had moved, I was from California originally, but my mom met my stepdad and married him when I was 6, and he was from Maine, so we moved to Maine when I was 7. Lived there until I was 15, and then I moved back with my dad to California.
Okay.
When I moved back with him, I joined this local band in the outskirts of LA, and started jamming with them and playing shows, but slowly but surely we kind of weeded out a couple of the members due to just not really having the chops. And it evolved to the point where it was only me that was left at one point, and so we decided to just start fresh.
Yep.
And we changed the name to Smile Empty Soul. And
that was from a song you had, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I had a song called Smile Empty Soul, and it seemed like, a name with a cool vibe that hadn't been used before. It was so obscure or off the wall. And so that was probably 97.
Okay.
And we started as Smile Empty Soul, and we started playing the LA rock club scene. And like really going for it, and managed to take some good steps here and there, and between then and 2002 managed to get the attention of a producer, sign a production deal with him, make our first record. We even shot our first video for Bottom of the Bottle before we signed our record deal, and then he went and shopped our first record with the video and all that to all the labels in 2002, and we ended up signing a deal at the end of 2002.
Okay. Now, how is that experience? You go from like working your butt off, honing your sound and everything, and then somebody actually says, this is great, we're gonna do this. Like, how did you feel? I mean, this is your baby too, so was this, and you were younger back then, like,
oh yeah,
like, what was your emotion through the whole thing? Were you like, oh yeah, let's go, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever? Or were you skeptical? Like,
no, I mean, I had a lot of confidence that I probably shouldn't have had looking back. I thought that we could do it, and I had high hopes, and
well, technically you did do it.
We did. We ended up with a deal offer from just about every label, and kind of had our choice of scenarios, and with good numbers in our favor, and got a great record deal and had a lot of success with that first album. So it was an exciting time, and I was 20 when we were signing our record deal. So it was just a very exciting moment,
Well, one thing, and I don't know if this is going to sound bad that I say this, but it's not meant to be bad. I'm just happy you guys, and I'm sure you wanted to like explode like the next Linkin Park or whatever, but I'm kind of happy you didn't, because it's like, you're my little gem. So when people are like, who? And I tell them and they get into it, it's like I gave them something that they didn't know about.
Right.
But like, so it's like, I like how you guys stayed, I mean, successful yet didn't blow up, because not that you would have changed, but I don't know. I just feel a little selfish that I want to keep you in my back pocket.
Well, and there's something to that, obviously we would have liked to have reached higher plateaus or whatever, but part of the reason that we didn't was because we weren't willing to change, and we weren't willing to put aside our own integrity for the sake of what the label wants and what management wants and all that. So we kind of were a difficult band to work with, I think, for the labels and the managers. And so we kind of shot ourselves in the foot in that sense that we ended up pissing all them off. So they're like, no more money, no more money pushing your band. But at the same time, I mean, I do appreciate where we are, that, I mean, I've been able to do this and nothing but this for, going on 22 years now. And we've always done it the way that we want to do it. And maintaining our own standards and integrity, and controlling all of it. And so in that sense, it's pretty soul satisfying.
Right. And you guys kind of went, I know after a few years, you went the do-it-yourself route and everything. Now, did you open up your own label or entertainment thing? Like, you did that whole thing yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of different times, really. We after we burned the bridge with our first label, we did a couple of indie deals, and realized very quickly that they can't do very much for you. I mean, it's all about money,
right.
And they don't have as much of it as the big labels do. So, after a while of doing that, we started our own label, quote unquote, if you want to call it that, and then ended up signing a couple other deals with other labels still. But then in 2016 was the last time I released anything through anyone else's label.
Okay.
And at that point, I just formed all my own systems and avenues for releasing things and promoting things, and I've just done it all completely myself ever since then.
See, and I have to say, a lot of musicians, people don't know, they think they just make the music, they do this thing, but you guys have to be like business savvy too, to do everything, because a lot of bands now are just doing it on their own and everything. So rock stars aren't all dumb people that just play music.
No, I mean, if I hadn't learned business roles, and I mean, I wear so many hats in this. I mean, it's like you're a merchandise person. I'm literally the bus driver. I'm my own manager. I'm my own accountant. I have a tax guy, but out here I'm punching the numbers and doing all that. So I mean,
it's a lot.
The team is small, and most of the hats are worn by me. But if I didn't take those roles over, I wouldn't still be able to be doing this. At first we started and we had this giant team of people, and they all need to get paid, and the money was good enough at that time to pay them all. But then as things get harder, you got to start cutting those people out and doing things yourself, and if you don't do them well, then you'll fail.
Hear you. All right. And I hear new single is coming out June
7th.
Savior.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Question for you. You've been writing a lot, through the years, for this band and your solo thing and everything. How do you progress with your writing? Do you have the same method that you did 20 years ago? Or do you kind of have restructured it? How do you go about, with ideas or, guitar stuff, or is it the same old, same old?
I mean, the process can be different from one song to another, but I don't think there's been a drastic change of the process in its entirety from then till now. I think it's the same concept of just, I usually just start with an acoustic guitar and come up with something cool on that, come up with a melody that sounds nice over it, and then start plugging lyrics in, and then just grow it from there.
Okay.
And that's been my go-to from the beginning, and still is. So I mean, once in a while I'll write a song just based on a line that pops up in my head as I'm driving down the road, and I start singing it a certain way, and I record it. Do you voice
message?
Yeah, I use the voice app on my phone.
Okay.
I'll record it, and then I'll take that and go build around that. That happens sometimes, but I'd say the majority is just sitting with an acoustic and come up with something cool on the guitar first, and then just start kind of building the pieces around it. Okay.
And now Savior is going into a new EP also, right? That's going to be released?
Yeah, we just tracked a new EP of 6 songs called Swan Song. And the way that you do things now in this bizarre state of industry that we live in is you release basically each song as a single leading up to releasing the whole thing. So I think the plan is June 7th we release Savior, and then every 6 weeks we release another one until we've released 5, and then with the 6th one we'll just release the whole thing.
So weird.
So it's backwards and so strange, and it doesn't.
The attention span too of America is whatever, but I used to the whole release day, and you go and you get the album and you're
that's me too.
We're old school.
Yeah, it's hard to let go of those things that you're used to and love like that. But you gotta adapt with the times and
adapt and go.
Yep.
All right. So, other than that, I wanted to reach out with other songs. Like, I'm going to throw you a song, and if you can just kind of let me know your thoughts, like if when you were writing it or how you think of it now. But these are like some of my favorites that you did. So, Nowhere Kids is the first one. That song, I don't know why I love it. There's no like meaning behind why I love it. I just, when I hear it, it gets me amped up. So,
nice.
What was like the thought process of that song? Like, how do you feel about it now?
Well, at the time, I mean, I was growing up in Santa Clarita, California, which is like a suburb of, it's in LA County, but it's a suburb of LA.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a middle class, upper middle class community where you'd think that, you know, everyone would have it together, but all the kids my age, all my friends that I grew up with, we were all kind of crazy. You know, we were party animals and had very little regard for the future and
rebellious.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was just kind of about that scene.
Okay.
And you know, at that time, I mean, I think I was 19 when I wrote that, so it made a lot of sense to me at that time in my life. You know,
and isn't it great? People still love it till this day.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I don't enjoy playing the same songs over and over again for 21 years,
right?
But I mean, just the fact that people want to hear it.
You got to play
cool
the staples.
Too, you know? Yeah.
Okay, what about Don't Ever Leave?
I mean, that's just a pretty straightforward, you know, tumultuous relationship, kind of toxic relationship song, you know, which I think most people can
deal with. I mean, understand
on some level,
yeah, absolutely. And the other one, I think it was on your solo album, Beautiful Things.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Do you?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And honestly, when I was going through your catalog, I didn't realize how many goddamn songs you've written. That's why I'm like, how do you come up with these? I'd be running out of ideas.
Well, it's been so long. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, 20 plus years of just always writing, you know, and I don't write like just to make money. Or,
yeah.
I write because it's just like kind of something I've always done. So it's almost like a therapeutic just release of thoughts and feelings and whatever. So I'm always motivated to write, and I'm just always writing. So it's, even though there's a lot there and it seems like crazy, it's over the 20 whatever years, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Now, you also have is it a side project? Is it another whole band that you're doing?
You're talking about World Fire Brigade?
Yes. Is that like...
So, that was like, it was my friend Eddie Wool, who's a producer, and Brett Scallions, who's was the lead singer of Fuel for a long time. We just got together as friends. We were all living in Southern California at the time, and we were going to write a record with the intentions of either licensing or selling it.
Okay.
And we wrote a record, ended up just kind of like enjoying the process of it all and deciding to just make the record ourselves. Okay. And so we made a record in 2012, I think it was done. And we signed a record deal, and I think the record turned out great. Like Ken Schalk from Candiria played all the drums. Rob Caggiano from Anthrax and Volbeat did a couple guitar solos. Okay. Mike McCready from Pearl Jam did a guitar solo.
Nice.
Like, you know, a lot of legitimate good players on the record, and it turned out really good. And we shopped it around looking for a record company to release it, and we ended up signing with a label called Frostbite Entertainment that was under the E1 umbrella. Okay. They signed us, gave us the money that they owed us in the deal, and then put the record out with zero promotion and then folded. And just disappeared off the face of the planet.
Okay.
So the record got zero push, zero anything. We couldn't even get them on the phone. They were like gone. And then all of a sudden it started coming back down off of all the digital platforms like Apple Music and Spotify and all that. So it became no longer even available to stream.
That's crazy.
And, you know, Brett, Eddie, and I are all very busy on our own. So we just kind of, I think we were all just discouraged by the way that all played out. So we just kind of just let it lie.
Yeah.
Until recently, we just signed a deal with the label group through Virgin, and they're going to re-release the record. And so they're going to start putting out singles in July.
Nice.
And see what happens. And it's just one of those things that, like, it's a side project, but anything could happen. If it were to become successful, then I'm sure we would scrounge it all together and go tour and stuff like that. If it doesn't have success, then we probably wouldn't tour on it. So I think we're just waiting to see what happens, and we'll just kind of proceed, you know.
Now, is this a little, like, different from what you do in Smile? Like, is it a whole different, like, vibe?
It is,
Okay, all right.
It's kind of, it's like heavier.
Okay.
Which you wouldn't really think that based on Fuel, Smile, and Soul. But we, like, used a lot of baritone guitars, like you know, down-tuned everything.
Excited.
And, you know, Ken Schock is an amazing heavy music drummer. And so it's heavier, but it's got a lot of melody still.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of, like, produced sections in it where, like, it almost comes in and sounds like Monday Night Football, like, for a second, and, like, then it goes back to the song. It has a lot of, like, interesting kind of twists and turns to it. And, I mean, it had been out for long enough. Some people know of it.
Yeah.
But most don't. So hopefully we'll get, like, a fresh start with it, and it'll do something halfway decent, you know.
Yay. All right. And then one other question I had, when you did your solo stuff, and we know that your baby Smile, was this just something just to, like, put out, or do you feel like it was different from what Smile Empty Soul is known for, so you did it as, like, a solo thing, or did it not really matter? It was just you putting out music?
You know, I think I was taking just a breather from Smile.
Yep.
I mean, and a breather doesn't mean much, because I've never taken very much of a breather. But I took a little bit of a breather and just wanted to I had the first EP that I released as a solo project. It was called Enjoy the Process, and it was super soft. It was just like these little acoustic songs that I had that I wanted to release that didn't seem like they fit Smile.
Yeah.
So then I had fun making that, and then I just decided to kind of, you know, when I had these songs that were softer that didn't fit Smile as well, I would kind of put them into this pile for solo stuff, and I ended up making 4 releases, and it was just fun. Like, 2 of them I made completely on my own, just in my home studio, and you know, I engineered and produced and played all the instruments and all that stuff.
So you even have more hats.
That's right. A lot of hats.
All the hats.
And so, but those were fun projects for me. So it was an enjoyable experience, you know.
So you will continue with the solo stuff if other stuff comes up?
I don't know. I mean, I at this point, I've made a couple Smile releases now that could have just been solo releases.
Yep. So you think it's merging together?
Kind of.
Okay.
Kind of, right. Yeah. It's kind of just become one thing. But, I mean, you know, I'm pretty fluid with shit, so whatever makes sense at the moment, I'll just kind of do that.
Keep doing what you're doing, because it's all great.
I appreciate that.
And let me just tell you, your cover of Wonderwall is my absolute favorite.
Oh, awesome.
I was just playing it when I was driving over here. It's so good. So,
Thank you. I
you know,
appreciate that.
during COVID, I think everyone was doing their fair share of covers.
Oh, yeah.
But no, absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
One other question: who is in your band now? Is it just you out here?
I have a drummer.
Okay.
His name is Ty Del Rose.
Okay.
And another hat that I absorbed is the bass player role.
Oh, okay.
I have a special pickup in my guitar that isolates the lowest note of the chord that I strike and drops it down an octave and sends it to a bass rig.
Oh,
so
all right.
I'm kind of doing it. If you ever heard of the band Local H,
yes,
they do a similar kind of thing, and I'm kind of doing what he does.
Okay.
So we are a two-piece now. So it's just me and a drummer.
Pretty soon you're going to learn how to get the drums into, and then you can be a solo act. Now,
I mean, if I could find a way, then maybe I'd do it. But
do you know how to play drums?
yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I just can't. I don't have the limbs, to pull it off. So,
right.
And I'm not as good as Tyler goes. I mean, he's way better than me.
All right. So, touring. Do you think touring's going to last through the rest of this year? Are you taking a break, or is it kind of like whatever comes to you? Or
we have we're on this tour until June 2nd, and then in July and August we're doing a run where I think most of it is us and Head PE, but we're also doing some shows with Raw, and we're doing a couple shows with Taproot.
Okay.
And we're doing some festivals, and then we go home early September, and then we go back out mid-October. We're doing the West Coast with Trapped in October, November.
That should be fun.
So, yeah. It should be eventful, yeah.
How has for you touring changed from the beginning to now? I know we're older, you have family at home, so life must be quite different on the road, but
very, yeah.
Do you keep your sanity now, or do you think it's more stressful now that you have, family at home, you're out here doing your business thing? Like, would you revert back to the old days, or do you like it now?
I definitely wouldn't revert back to the old days because I'd be dead.
Okay, so. Good.
The old days were a little extreme, and I probably shouldn't have survived them, to be honest with you. In 2007, I actually quit partying altogether, so
yay!
That was a much needed change, and so the old days were just tour buses and parties, and I didn't have to wear any of those other hats I'm talking about. It was just the
party hat,
playing, and then partying my ass off.
Right.
And so it's completely different now. I mean, now we travel in my RV here, and none of us drink, or do any hard drugs. I mean, we all smoke a little weed,
right.
But that's kind of
normal.
Almost like drinking coffee at this
right.
point. And then we're all very responsible, and I mean, we don't party with people afterwards. We just get on the road and we do a bunch of miles every night after the show.
Yeah.
And so it's more of a business and less of just like party time, but it's good.
Well, that's
it's definitely good. My priority is my daughter at home.
Yay.
And so that's a much better existence,
Good. Anything else you want? Oh, you know what? Before we go, you paint too, or draw, right?
Yeah.
Now, have you done all the work for your albums?
Some of it, but not all of it. There's a graphic designer that I've worked with. He's an artist, painter, graphic designer, just super talented guy named Chris Sahanik. That he did my Vultures album cover in 2006.
Yep.
And then from then on, I've just worked with him exclusively for all my album layouts. So either he does the album cover or I do the album cover, but either way, he does the layout.
Okay.
The really, really awesome ones that are like technically advanced are him, and then the weird, like messy kind of ones.
That's you.
Are me, right? So that's how you can tell the difference. But
Now,
they're
do you sell them, like other, not album covers, but like your other art? You sell that and everything?
I do, yeah.
Jesus, when do you sleep?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I wish I got more sleep for sure. I do stay busier than I would like. You know, especially at home juggling the family thing. But I do find time to paint, and I've been completely blessed and fortunate that people are like interested in my paintings that I do, and so
that's awesome.
It's kind of like a cool little side hustle, and it's also fun and creative, and I enjoy it quite a bit. And then that led to I actually just started tattooing 6 months ago, and so I've been doing that a lot.
Okay.
And have plans to continue developing that.
Nice.
Too, you know.
See, when you retire, you can just be a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I got multiple things to
nice.
Bounce around between. You know.
All right. So, did you tell me when the EP's coming out, or do you not?
We don't have a hard date for the EP yet.
But the singles.
The structure is like, you know, June 7th, one song, and then July, later July, another song, and then maybe early September, another song, and then. So I would say the full EP would be like either the very end of the year or the very beginning of next.
Okay. All right. And are you doing stuff like on this tour, the new stuff, or are you kind of...
We're playing the song that's about to come out on June 7th. We have been playing it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty fun to play, and, you know, changes it up for us. So.
Yeah, something new.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you would like to add, sir?
That's it. I think you covered a lot of good bases. So.
Yay. Well, thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.